Hello and welcome to a brand new hardware review. Today I'm going to review one of these two keyboards, namely this one, the HAVIT HV-KB389L, a mechanical keyboard with Kailh Brown switches, so stick around and let's see what this thing can do. This keyboard was sent to us by the people at HAVIT, a company that was established in Hong Kong in the year 1998. You could say they have some experience in the field. They are letting me keep this, and again I'd like to thank them for the opportunity to review this keyboard. So, what exactly is this? Well, I'm not sure if you can see it properly because of all the bright lights, but this is a fully RGB backlit keyboard, namely every key has an individual LED to it, a multicolored LED that can display a great number of colors. It's also a mechanical keyboard, one that uses brown Kailh switches, about which I do have something to say later on. Being a mechanical keyboard does give it a few advantages over simple membrane ones, the most noticeable being that the keys have a very pleasant feel to them. They feel responsive, they bounce back at you, they sort of give you feedback when you're typing, which helps you be a tiny bit more responsive and a bit more accurate when you're gaming or when you're just writing. Now, I would do this entire review with it hanging over my shoulder, but this keyboard is amazingly heavy. And it's not built out of aluminum like the other one, no, this is actually just plastic. Very resistant plastic that is honestly a lot heavier than it seems at first glance. Now, the reason that this may be a bit heavy would probably have to do with this gigantic bar all around it, an LED strip that lights up constantly. Well, you can turn it off if you want. I'm not sure if you can see it properly because of all the lights again. Now it's turning a bit yellow to greenish. The closer I get it, the better you'll probably see it, but probably you'll see it better on the B-roll footage. Now, even though this is made just out of plastic, I've had no issues with durability. It is a strong and sturdy keyboard that comes equipped with its own palm rest that is quite adequate at relieving stress on the wrists. And on the back, as you can see, there are options for routing the USB cable, and there are grippy pads, rubber pads, on both feet, allowing you to place it on just about any surface and not have to worry about it slipping. Again, as I said in the unboxing, not that it would, this is an extremely heavy keyboard. I mean, this is the kind of keyboard that would be classified as a blunt instrument weapon and quite very well suited to the zombie apocalypse. So if a zombie were to charge at you at your PC, yeah, this would probably cleave a few heads. I'm not kidding, this is incredibly heavy. I'm getting tired just by holding it. One issue you may have with this keyboard is that the keys themselves are recessed into the body, so cleaning it may be a bit more of a hassle than it would be with the other model, which just has them sort of floating over the aluminum shell. This one, yeah, you're probably gonna have to remove each individual key and blow out all the dust if you want to properly clean it. The most noticeable feature of this keyboard is without a doubt its RGB lighting. The HV-KB389L has very good options for customizations with just about everything you would want. You can customize this bar to illuminate in any way you wish. You may want it to pulse slowly, fast, have a single constant color, switch on and off. It is very good when it comes to having a certain flair to it. It's a show. This keyboard will give you a light show that you will not soon forget. It's one of those keyboards that you would leave lying out, plugged in, functional, even when your PC is off maybe, just because it provides a very good light show. This is a mantelpiece sort of. It's just beautiful. Probably not as beautiful as the white version, which would reflect light somewhat better and make it a bit more showy. The black one still does a good job of being a ornament piece, as I would say. But I would suggest getting the white one because it's just more flashy. And it's not just the LED bar on the side that can be customized. Every aspect of this keyboard can be customized in terms of lighting. All you have to do is sort of remember that there is in the box with a keyboard a leaflet. One with a lot of commands. I mean a lot of commands. You will have trouble remembering what those commands are honestly at first. But the core of the matter is that you press the FN key and then all of these other keys, and you will have different lighting effects depending on what you press. And you also have these keys up here that will modify those keys. So, oh yeah, you also have these for intensity and speed of all the lights, and yeah, you're gonna need a while to get adjusted to them. For example, there is the scrolling function, like this key just scrolls all the color of the rainbows from one end to another. If I press it again, it will scroll in the different direction. If I press this one, it will now freeze that scroll into a certain place. If I press this one, it will start scrolling with just one color and not the entire rainbow. And if I press this one, it'll go back to being a rainbow. If I press this one, the scrolling would go faster, and this one will go slower, and this one, the lights will dim down. As you can see, the lights up here light up when I reach the maximum setting. And that's just part of it. Because this keyboard also has interactive lighting to it. It's not just pulsating, it's not just always on, it's not just reading mode, it has interactive lights. Now, what exactly are interactive lights? Well, when you press a key, well, namely when you press this key and insert, you'll activate one of these several modes of interaction, meaning that currently I believe that once you press a button, you'll have a sort of rainbow effect that goes all the way through the keyboard. If I press this again, it'll just have a small area around them colorized in a certain color that can be changed with the keys up here. And you'll have several more of them, including one that sort of starts the keyboard at a very blue light, but the faster you type, the more hot the keys will get. It's sort of a visual representation of how fast you're typing. And that can actually be very, very fun to see implemented. One thing to know is that the LEDs can't seem to display more than one solid shade of red, green, or blue. So when the rainbow effect is activated, you'll mostly see a lot of shades of light blue, purple, and some yellow. Blue, green, and red themselves take up just one tiny space of that spectrum. Also, when the keyboard boots up, it does a really neat effect where all the colors scroll and then stack up that you cannot do manually. I wish there was a way that you could actually replicate that, but sadly there is no option in the predefined keys and there is no software support to sort of make the keyboard do that under predefined conditions. But let's say you can't find the backlight that sort of suits your liking. You want these keys to be green, these to be red, and these to be, I don't know, purple or something. Well, you can do that. Just by pressing Fn and F11, you can start coloring each and every individual key you want with any color you want. You can even save them as profiles with F1, 2, 3. I generally use these to set up my own sort of areas for certain games like MechWarrior or Dota, or even for video editing software. You can highlight the keys you use most, so you don't have to look down on your keyboard all the time at night when you don't have much light. You can just see them highlighted exactly the way you want them. Also, as sort of a part of that lighting thing, this keyboard also comes with macros. So this button, FN12, allows you to sort of record macros on the Y, U, I, O, and P keys. Now these macros can be any sort of combination of keys, even long. You can even customize them to type out words when you press Fn and the key in question, so you can possibly even store passwords on this and you won't have to worry about your password getting stolen, mostly because I don't think this keyboard actually has any way of communicating the contents of its macros with the PC unless it's actually typing them out. So your passwords will probably be safe unless someone steals your keyboard. That being said, there are a few downsides to the lighting, namely all the buttons that let you customize these effects aren't actually well lit up themselves. Like the arrows are lit up, like the arrow symbol is lit up, but not the one that shows you exactly what the effect on the lighting would be. And you'll find the same thing on the insert, on the home, on the page down, on all the other keys that let you control all this stuff. And the same is valid for the media keys as well, which I'm gonna get to, well, right now. In terms of media key support, this keyboard isn't really all that's cracked up to be, not only because of the placement of them. I think I mentioned this before. I would have really preferred if they put volume up and volume down and mute somewhere in a straight line in a place easy to access with just one hand, like maybe Fn and F9 to F12 or F12. And not all the way up here to F4, F5, and F6. It's F4 for volume up, F5 for volume down, and F6 for mute. There's no key to skip track, there's no key to go back, so it's actually not all that useful, not all that good when it comes to volume controls. I would have honestly wanted to see a knob. Like I've said before, I'm a very big fan of knobs on keyboards, and it would have gone really well with this one. Oh, and the logo itself, the Magic Eagle logo, this is the brand from which the HV-KB389L is part of, is not lit up. Were it lit up, it would have made probably for a very nice visual effect, but again, you do have this giant bar of LEDs on the side, so I guess that would be enough too. Now, how well does this perform in games? Well, it works about as well as I would expect from a good keyboard. It is among the best keyboards I've used in gaming. It is probably on par with my old keyboard, which was a membrane one, but it was a very high-end, well, in terms of build quality, not price, a very good membrane keyboard. I've had no issues with this keyboard at all, and because this is N-key rollover, you will not have issues with maybe racing games where you have to turn and press the handbrake at the same time. You won't have any problems. You can just slam your face entirely into the keyboard and all the keys would be registered with absolutely no problem. All the keys work fine for games, so you will not have any problems with them, but again, these are Kailh Brown switches, and this keyboard has sort of confirmed what I suspected from the Natech Genesis GX85 review, namely that Kailh Brown switches are not very good in terms of precision and endurance. Fortunately, no keys have outright failed. I've actually delayed this review a couple of weeks because I wanted to make sure that they are solid. I wrote about half of Volume 2 of Tale of Doom on this keyboard, and so far no keys have downright failed on me, but a few of them you can sort of feel that they're not actually all that stable. Namely, so far it's only been this key, like noticeable. If I just touch it right here a little bit, it will activate. And this is the only key, well, there's probably a few more around here, but I haven't found them, that does this. Now, it is in a much better state than the Natech Genesis one was, and all the other keys work fine. There's no issue with the Windows key, there's no issue with other keys, but there's still Kailh Brown switches. Like, they don't have the exact same actuation depth, so, well, one of them may activate when you press it up to a certain point, the other one may activate a little bit down, the other may activate a little bit upwards. It's not a uniform experience, and that can lead some issues and some problems when it comes to typing at high speeds. Again, for gaming, you probably won't have any issues, but when you're typing, yeah, you may notice some problems, especially if you do it at high speeds at, I'm guessing, about over 60 words a minute. Normally, Kailh Brown switches in general, are kind of silent. They only have a auditive feedback on the upswing when you depress the button. But because you want to make sure that you press exactly all the keys you want, that all of them actuate, you may end up mashing them all the way down to the plastic and make a bit more noise. So this may actually require a bit more force from you than a normal brown switch would, or that this brown switch does require in its spec, because you want to make sure that all the buttons are actually being pressed. In games, again, not an issue. You're not pressing 50 buttons within 1 minute, or if you're doing that, you're pressing the exact same 50 buttons, not the entire keyboard. I would have loved to see this keyboard with a different type of switches. Well, I actually kind of have it with different types of switches, though it is a bit more different than this one, the other model which I'll review soon. Other than that, it is a very good keyboard, and I'm probably going to be using it non-stop until it fails, because again, I write several thousand words a day, and I'll have a report for you for when Kailh Brown switches start to fail, because currently they haven't failed, and I hope they don't, but they don't inspire much confidence in me. So I'll have an update for you regarding that. But unless you abuse it, like I would, you probably won't have problems with this keyboard. Though again, I will probably have some. Something I would have loved to see in this keyboard is a USB pass-through. My old keyboard had one, and I kind of got used to just plugging stuff in the side, like maybe a memory key or a keyboard, or not a keyboard, a mouse, a gamepad, something else, and I sort of missed it so much that I bought a USB hub to replace it. It would have been nice to have it just be there. Also a volume knob, again I'm a big fan of those. If HAVIT ever makes a revision of this or a new keyboard, I hope they consider adding a volume knob or something that lets you change the volume from around here somewhere and not from the predefined key combinations. Something else I would have loved to see is an actual software interface for the RGB lighting on this keyboard, maybe even for the macros, because there is no way to sort of communicate directly with it from the PC. And that's sort of a downside because there are quite a few games that do have integration with the RGB lighting of some keyboards, like the Logitech ones or the Razer ones, you know, games like Evolve or games like XCOM, and that's not a feature that is available for the HAVIT keyboard because it doesn't have, it's not exposed, like the internal electronics of it are not exposed to software. There's no API for it, and well, they kind of should be. I mean, this is a beautiful keyboard, and why restrict it? Why not let it interface with games, with software? And actually, if I can take it apart and actually figure out what the controller they're using is, I may be able to find a hack for it or something. I mean, I saw someone making a Tetris or a Snake game with a similar keyboard, so yeah, probably it would be possible to get it to interface with the PC some way. Well, that being said, if you're in the market for a keyboard with Kailh Brown switches and very nice, very customizable LED backlight and this neat LED bar on the side that just lights up everything around you, yeah, you could probably do worse than the HAVIT one. Like, this is a very nice keyboard. I sort of enjoyed it up until now. I just hope the keys don't fail on me because, well, you've seen the Natick Genesis one where those keys kind of failed. The HV-KB389L is available on the official HAVIT store for around $85 though. If you want to buy it, I would suggest getting the white one because the black plastic sort of muffles all the lights. You don't get to see them as bright or as intense, and the white one does make for a much better show. Well, that would be it. I will be back soon with another review of something else, and then I will have a review of the other keyboard, which was the HV-KB389L, the aluminum one, which I showed you earlier. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to rest my arm because this thing is amazingly heavy. Goodbye. Thank you for watching this show. If you enjoyed it, please consider watching some of our other videos and maybe sharing them or giving a thumbs up if you feel like it. And if you really liked what you saw, please check out our Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you could help us make much better shows and get some rewards in the process. Or you could consider buying my book called Tale of Doom. Volume 1 is out now and available for just $2. And as always, if you thought it was horrible, you know where to find me and complain about it.